El Chapo's crazy prison cell security exposed. John Kaczynski, Umar Abdul-Muttalib, Michael Swano. These criminals shocked the world with their actions, taking the lives of so many innocent people in the process. Kaczynski was responsible for delivering 16 homemade bombs to random people, which led to the death of 3. It really makes it hard to believe that he was a math professor at Harvard. Then there was Michael Swano, a licensed medical practitioner who took the lives of 60 people for reasons that are unknown. And Umar Abdul-Muttalib, also known as the underwear suicide bomber, he tried to take down a plane with 289 passengers on board. These were people who had no conscience, who just wanted to see chaos in the world. As sick as it may sound, they were not interested in money or power. They just wanted people to suffer. But that's not it. All of these notorious criminals have one more thing in common: ADX Florence. This prison is home to many such criminals with crimes that are much more heinous than El Chapo. El Chapo is a former drug lord and leader with the Sinaloa Cartel. What put him behind bars in this maximum security prison is the fact that he escaped twice and spent years on the run. So when he was finally caught after these attempts, he was put alongside these criminals in ADX Florence. And today, we're seeing just how crazy this prison security is. Before we get into it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Let's get started. We'll start with El Chapo's decisions that landed him here, his escape attempts. Before he was placed here, El Chapo was placed in 2 maximum security prisons in Mexico, charged for his ties with the Sinaloa Cartel and his drug-related crimes. The first was Puente Grande Maximum Security Prison. He was arrested for his involvement in a shootout at the airport in Guadalajara. But prison didn't disrupt his life at all. He was able to live the same way as he lived before his arrest. He had drugs, women, good food. He was also able to run his drug business from inside the prison. So not much had changed for him. But the Mexican government started to take note of these activities and were planning on extraditing him to the U.S. As soon as he got wind of this plan, he planned an escape. From there, he pulled his first attempt. He was wheeled out of prison by a security guard. As he hid in the laundry basket, a trick you've seen in several movies, but it was not just a trick. He was able to escape successfully, which bought him more time on the outside. And after this, it took another 13 years and a collaboration between American and Mexican authorities to capture El Chapo again. In February of 2014, he was arrested and this time placed in another maximum security prison. This one was better guarded and more secure than his last prison, which made things difficult. He was on a 23-hour lockdown, placed in a small cell with a bed, shower, and a toilet. A camera was also placed inside the cell to keep track of all his movements. He was not allowed to meet family members unless he had permission from a judge. So this time, the plan had to be a bit more elaborate. After a year later, everyone was shocked to see what his cell's camera had recorded. He can be seen stepping into the shower booth, a very small one at that, and then he simply vanished. The authorities were shocked to their core seeing this footage, seemingly straight out of a suspense movie. It turned out he'd noticed a blind spot in the cell and was in communication with his people outside the prison for the entire year. His gang dug a mile-long tunnel underneath the shower booth. He then used a smuggled smartwatch to figure out his exact location, and pretty soon he vanished through this tunnel. He was successful in this attempt because he bought the land around this prison, which helped build the tunnel, and he was able to bribe a guard again to smuggle that smartwatch. He then went on to stay on the run for a long time. It was these attempts that convinced the authorities that he was not just a cartel member. He was a sophisticated criminal and should be put in a more guarded and secure prison, somewhere with no blind spots, somewhere with limited interactions between guards and inmates, somewhere like ADX Florence. So let's talk about the structure of ADX Florence. It's located in Fremont County, Colorado, and situated on 49 acres. To break down the structure, it has 6 different security levels. The least restrictive is for people committed to low-level, petty crimes. People at this level are on a 23-hour lockdown and 1 hour for recreation activities that are limited to indoor premises of the prison. They receive some phone privileges as well, which they have to earn for themselves. As we move up the levels of security, the restrictions increase and privileges will be limited. The decision as to where an inmate will be placed is based on the nature of crimes they committed, in addition to any trouble caused to law enforcement. The second level is called the Special Housing Unit. This is the place where criminals responsible for involvement in terrorist activities are placed. One such name is Umar Abdul Mutalab. One notable thing about this level is that there are no showers in the cells. At regular intervals, the guards take these inmates to a shared shower. But El Chapo is not placed at these levels, as restrictive as they sound. As we reach the sixth and final level, it's the most restrictive level called Range 13. This is where all the high-risk criminals like El Chapo are placed. Before him, only two other criminals were placed here, both for dangerously serious crimes: Ramzi Youssef and Thomas Silverstein. Silverstein was one of the most violent criminals seen in the history of America, while Youssef was involved in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. You can think of this level like a prison within a prison. No big windows, soundproof walls, and it's so confusing that inmates can't even figure out where they are in the prison. This is aimed at cutting off all contact with their supporters outside the prison so that they cannot escape by building tunnels or anything. Once they're in ADX Florence, they have to say goodbye to everything they left behind till the time their sentence is served. So it's pretty much like the maximum security prisons we've seen in movies. Think Shutter Island, only this is the reality for El Chapo and many more. When it was built and started operating in 2018, it was aimed at housing 490 inmates with its walls, but since then, it's never been at full capacity. More than that, it cost around $60 million to build this prison, ensuring that it's as secure as it was being claimed. So what exactly makes it a maximum security prison? Let's find out. The whole place is surrounded by motion detectors, cameras, and thick steel doors, so they have literally got eyes everywhere. Nothing goes unnoticed, but this is real life. You can't be certain about everything, which is why on the off chance that something does go wrong, they can shut down the whole facility with just one button. That's how serious they are about security. They have to be, to maintain the image as one of the most high security prisons, one where no one has been able to escape since it opened. Now, let's say someone, very lucky, was able to escape from their cells. They'll have to face another barrier before they're out in the world. Just like a video game, new levels keep popping up. There's this 12-foot tall razor wire fence, which we assume has got to be difficult to climb, and in the time you do attempt that, the guards will be there to put you back in place. And the guards here are no joke. They're heavily armed and patrol the place 24/7. They've got these highly trained dogs too, sniffing out anything suspicious. It's also notable that all of these guards are thoroughly vetted before being assigned to this position, which makes it pretty unlikely that they would help a convict escape, seeing that this was El Chapo's strategy in his first two attempts. And this was not even the scariest bit. Here comes the kicker. Fort Carson, which is a military base, is just a few miles away. So if a high-risk inmate did end up escaping, there's a whole army base ready to step in and put an end to things. They've got combat vehicles and helicopters. It's like a military backup just down the road. They're not taking any chances. Not to sound cliche, but they might shoot you first and ask questions later. This also means that it will be almost impossible to build a tunnel this time with an army base around. But we say almost because El Chapo's pulled stunts that seemed impossible before as well. Then there are the living conditions of these inmates. The cell is basically a housing unit, and the criminals placed here spend most of their day in a small concrete cell. Yes, we're talking 23 hours a day. Now, that obviously doesn't leave much to do throughout the day. There's only one connection these people have to the outside world, a small window that shows the sky. Apart from this, their views involve the prison cell. As you can see in the videos here, the prison cell is as physically isolating as it can be. It's not only physical isolation, though. Since the wall's soundproof, these people cannot even talk to others in Range 13. This has to be difficult to cope with, as they're alone in this very small cell. This can also be disorienting for the inmates as hours and hours are going by. They eventually lose track of what day it is. They also get a black and white TV, but it's not entertainment. It plays educational and religious stuff to facilitate their rehabilitation process. Even food is hand-delivered by guards, so inmates don't get to meet each other. The reason here is that each one of them, especially in Range 13, are there because of serious crimes. And allowing interaction may lead to more trouble for the prison, as they'll probably collaborate on escape plans. It's also designed to keep unnecessary interaction between guards and inmates limited, so that there's no corruption within the walls of ADX Florence. And that's it for today, guys. El Chapo's prison cell security. It's safe to say that his days on the run are over. Did you know that no one has escaped this prison since it opened in 2018? Crazy, right? But it makes sense seeing the security measures that have been put in place. What do you think's the most interesting measure here? Let us know in the comments down below. Until next time.